Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Farhana Sheikh. Malaysia recorded highest daily COVID-19 death toll at 126. And what are the economic impacts of school closures? That's coming up. Malaysia reported the highest ever daily COVID-19 fatalities today. 126 deaths were reported, as well as an increased daily tally of 7,703 new infections. Selangor tops the list with the most daily infections of 2,728, followed by Kuala Lumpur, Sarawak and Negeri Sembilan. Meanwhile, a total of 878 out of over 82,000 actively infected are in the intensive care unit, with 441 needing oxygen assistance. The World Health Organization has approved China's Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine for emergency use. It is the second Chinese vaccine to receive the green light from the WHO after Sinopharm. This opens the door for the vaccine to be used in the COVAX program, which aims to ensure fair access to vaccines. The vaccine, which has already been used in several countries, has been recommended for over 18s, with a second dose 2 to 4 weeks later. Studies showed that Sinovac prevented symptomatic disease in more than half of those vaccinated and prevented severe symptoms and hospitalization in 100% of those studied. It is hoped that the decision to list the vaccine for emergency use will give a boost to the COVAX initiative, which has been struggling with supply problems. Meanwhile, Khairi Jamaluddin welcomed the news by WHO to approve Sinovac vaccine for emergency use. He said the global recognition is a boost of confidence in the vaccine. He said Malaysia's 12 million doses supply of Sinovac will benefit some 18% of the population. The WHO's validation of Sinovac gives countries, agencies and communities the assurance that it meets international standards for safety and efficacy. A new feature on the MySejahtera app will now enable pregnant and nursing mothers to register for COVID-19 vaccination. Minister in charge of vaccination, Khairi Jamaluddin, called on expectant and nursing mothers to update their status on the app so that a suitable vaccine will be given to them. Users will be asked to update their pregnancy, such as due date or breastfeeding status, under the COVID-19 vaccination tab. The advisory now is that Pfizer can be given to both, while AstraZeneca is for lactating mothers. Khairi, however, also reminded them to still consult their doctors before deciding to get vaccinated. Beginning this month, Mercy Malaysia, alongside the Ministry of Health, will embark on an outreach program involving door-to-door vaccination, focusing on those unable to go to vaccination centres, such as the ill and the disabled. The aim to help accelerate the country's inoculation program. We speak to President Datuk Dr. Ahmad Faisal Perdaus on the initiative.
There are people who are not able to go to vaccination centres themselves, even if they've registered. These are mainly older people, people who are dependent on others to bring them, not just to vaccination centres, but also to do their daily chores. They are usually elderly. But they also might be people with some disabilities or who are naturally in need of assistance for various reasons. For some living in this country, they are actually not very near any vaccination centres. And this itself can be a discouraging factor, if you like, or a detrimental factor, a deterring factor for them to actually go to get their vaccinations, even if they are registered. And thirdly, we also recognize that that while some people are keen to be vaccinated, they might not have the correct circumstances.
Mercy Malaysia also foresee challenges in terms of logistics and funding and urge for the public to step in to donate.
Number one, logistics. We need vehicles. We need assistance in terms of getting cooperation from local communities. These are the two main ones, and the third one, of course, is cost. With the logistics comes costs, as in vehicles, as in petrol funding, as in as in food and beverage for the volunteers, etc. So all this has an operational cost to it. And those who are generous among us and those who have a little bit more among us Malaysians, please be generous in giving towards all these efforts towards COVID-19, towards combating COVID-19, including this vaccination program. Current pace and current rate, something needs to be done to accelerate the vaccination rate in the country. And Mesti Malaysia has the volunteers, has the setup, has the infrastructure, and the ability to assist the Ministry of Health as well as the COVID-19 vaccination task force to do this throughout the country.
Bank Negara today said that all loan borrowers who suffered a drop in income are eligible for a reduction of monthly installments according to the reduced income. This includes a drop in salary, allowances, commissions and household incomes. The central bank, in a series of tweets, explained that individual borrowers who have lost their jobs can also choose either a 3-month moratorium or reduction of monthly installments by 50% for 6 months. It also pointed out that for facilities with approved amounts of up to 150,000 ringgit, micro-enterprises as well as SMEs which were not allowed to operate during the lockdown were also given the same choice. It's been more than a year of the pandemic and students are still not in schools. Besides years of learning loss, what is the economic impact of school closures? Report by the Centre for Market Education and Vital Amanah estimated that it can cost up to 80 billion ringgit per year and produce up to 2,000 ringgit earning losses annually per worker when schools are closed. Here to discuss their findings and ways to safely reopen schools is CME President Dr. Carmelo Ferlito.
From the economic perspective, we estimated that the GDP loss can be up to 80 billion ringgit Malaysia per year, or 5.4% of the GDP. And for workers, for wage earners, the loss can be up to 2,000 ringgit a year in the future. So in a range between 400 and 2,000 ringgit per year. And these are figures that are mainly due to delayed education, missed education, prolonged problems, deficit in learning, and added on all the income that you lose by missing years of education.
Dr. Carmelo advocates for the safe reopening of schools that involves mass and frequent COVID-19 screening to ensure early detection among students in order to curb the spread of the virus.
That the gold standard for a safe reopening of schools is introducing mass rapid frequent testing. It means mass frequent rapid testing. That means that you test every kid and every employee of each school every Monday. Those that are tested positive are sent home for isolation or treatment, and those that are negative can go ahead as usual. By testing everybody on a weekly basis, you will have the advantage of early detection, and therefore you will avoid development of heavy symptoms, and at the same time you would avoid the asymptomatic spread of the virus that account up to 30% of the spread nowadays, according to the most recent researches. And we can do that if we allow in Malaysia to enter also the rapid test kit, which are much cheaper than the traditional PCR test. We are talking about $5, and therefore they can be affordable by employers, by employees, and by students and their families. We need to be more creative. In example, we know that outdoor transmissions are almost impossible. So we are blessed by the fact that Malaysia is a hot weather climate. So why not do education outdoor and improve outdoor activities that will give the possibility for students to safely go to school, and at the same time also to boost their immune system by exposure to fresh air and sunlight.
We'll take a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. China insisted the 16 military aircrafts that flew off the Malaysian maritime zone on Monday were part of a routine flight training and did not target any country. Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Syamuddin Tun Hussein meanwhile said Malaysia will send a diplomatic protest to Beijing and summon the Chinese ambassador to provide an explanation on the incident. Malaysian Air Force scrambled its jets to conduct a visual confirmation after detecting the 16 Chinese aircraft flying suspiciously towards Malaysian airspace. Hishamuddin has accused Beijing of breaching Malaysia's sovereignty after the aircraft came within 110 kilometers of Malaysia's exclusive economic zone. The Chinese aircrafts flew in tactical formation and did not comply with Malaysian air traffic control's instructions to establish contact once they entered the Kota Kinabalu flight information region, prompting Malaysia to scramble fighter jets. Recent incursions into our airspace by PRC fighter jets raise concerns about our sovereignty in the South China Sea. Tonight on Consider This, we ask our guests if this is a stress test for diplomatic relations. A cargo ship carrying tons of nitric acid and chemicals is sinking off Sri Lanka's coast today. The Singapore-registered vessel has been on fire for almost 2 weeks and authorities have been battling the blaze since then. Experts fear the incidents will trigger one of the worst environmental disasters in Sri Lanka. The ship MV Express Pearl was anchored off the island's west coast when a fire erupted on May 20th. Flaming containers filled with chemicals have fallen from the ship's deck while tons of plastic pellets have swamped the island's coastline. The Sri Lankan and Indian navies had worked jointly over the past days in an attempt to put out the fire and prevent the ship from breaking up and sinking. But rough seas and winds hampered the operation. Some hundreds of tons of engine oil could leak into the sea if the ship sinks, with devastating impact on marine life. Singaporean health experts said it would be prudent to vaccinate children against COVID-19. The Republic will kick off its vaccination drive for students aged 12 and above tomorrow. More than 400,000 students in Singapore will be able to receive their Pfizer-BioNTech jabs, starting with graduating cohorts from secondary schools to the pre-university levels. According to the Education Minister, around 26,000 students signed up since the registration opened on Tuesday. The United States, Canada and Israel have also approved the use of Pfizer-BioNTech for 12 to 15-year-olds. There could be a possible link between cases of heart inflammation to the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. Israeli Health Minister reported these cases in young men aged between 16 to 19 who received the second dose of the vaccine. Israel reported 275 cases of myocarditis between December 2020 and May 2021 among more than 5 million people who received the Pfizer jab. According to the study conducted by 3 teams of experts, most patients who experienced heart inflammation spent no more than 4 days in hospital, and 95% of the cases were classified as mild. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news update on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro Awani app. I'm Farhana Sheikh. We'll see you tomorrow.